The snow fell softly on the cobbled streets of Edinburgh, each flake glimmering under the amber glow of the street lamps. Daniel Harris gripped his son's small, cold hand as they hurried past shop windows lined with Christmas lights. The little boy's voice broke the silence, trembling but full of hope. "Dad," he whispered, pointing at a woman standing outside a cafe. "She looks like a mummy." The woman, elegant in a cream coat, her eyes distant and lonely, turned just as the boy stepped forward and asked, "Miss, could you be my mummy for one day?" What followed was something none of them expected. A moment of kindness that would rewrite their futures forever. Daniel had learned to survive on little. After losing his wife to cancer 3 years earlier, every day felt like a quiet battle. He juggled his shifts at the garage, school runs, and the endless pile of bills with a smile his son didn't see cracking. Ethan, 6, had his mother's golden curls and a heart too big for his small chest. That December, their old heater broke again, and the Christmas tree was nothing more than a few lights taped to the wall. But Daniel never let his son feel poor in spirit. One evening, he took Ethan to the city center to see the Christmas lights, a small tradition that helped them forget the weight of life. The streets buzzed with laughter and music, and Ethan's eyes glowed with wonder. That's when he spotted her, a woman alone, standing near a cafe window with untouched tea and an untouched heart. To Ethan, she looked perfect, like the mothers in his bedtime stories. Without warning, he tugged his father's arm and ran toward her. "Ethan!" Daniel called, panic rising as his son stopped in front of the woman. She turned, startled but calm, her features refined yet weary. The boy looked up, his voice small but steady. "Excuse me, miss. Could you pretend to be my mummy, just for one day?" The woman blinked, clearly taken aback. Daniel rushed over, mortified. "I'm so sorry. He didn't mean—" But Ethan's innocent eyes silenced him. The woman smiled faintly, something soft cracking in her expression. "Maybe I could," she whispered. Her name was Victoria Lennox, though Daniel didn't know she was the CEO of Lennox Industries, one of the most powerful corporations in the UK. She hadn't planned to stop at that cafe. She'd been on her way to the airport to escape Christmas altogether. For years, she'd buried herself in work after losing her fiancé in a car accident. Success had replaced love, and solitude had become her shield. But something in the boy's words pierced through her armor. Daniel, still embarrassed, tried to explain. "He misses his mum. I told him it's not polite to bother people." "It's fine," Victoria said softly. "Maybe I could keep him company for a bit." They spent the evening walking through the Christmas market together. Ethan laughing, Victoria holding his mittened hand, Daniel trailing behind, confused but grateful. When they said goodbye, Ethan hugged her tight and whispered, "Thank you, Mummy." Victoria froze. It had been years since anyone had called her that word, even in jest. When she returned home to her glass penthouse that night, her reflection in the window looked different, lonelier than ever. And for the first time in years, she couldn't sleep. The next morning, Victoria couldn't shake the image of the little boy's smile. She found herself driving to the same cafe again. And as fate would have it, Daniel and Ethan were there, Daniel sipping cheap coffee before his shift, Ethan drawing on a napkin. She hesitated, then walked in. "May I join you?" Daniel's surprise melted into warmth. They talked, awkwardly at first. Victoria learned he was a widower, struggling to keep his garage afloat. He learned she worked in management, though she avoided details. When Ethan proudly showed her his drawing, a stick family of 3, she felt her throat tighten. He'd drawn her in it. From that day, she began to visit them often. A few hours at the park, dinner at a small diner, laughter that felt unfamiliar but real. For Daniel, her presence felt like sunlight after years of gray skies. But he reminded himself, she was just being kind. Nothing more. One evening, Daniel's boss told him the garage might shut down after Christmas. The rent was overdue and layoffs were coming. That night, he stayed up late, trying to figure out how to explain it to Ethan. When Victoria dropped by unexpectedly the next morning, she noticed his exhaustion. "Rough day?" she asked. He brushed it off, but she saw the truth in his tired eyes. Ethan ran to her, clutching a small note. "I made you something!" It was a Christmas card that read, "To my pretend mummy. You make me smile." She hugged him, her heart breaking a little more. Daniel watched, torn between gratitude and guilt. He didn't want Ethan to get attached. He didn't want to hope for something impossible. Later that evening, when Victoria offered to help with groceries, he refused gently. "You've already done more than enough. I don't want charity." She smiled faintly. "It's not charity, Daniel. It's friendship." But deep down, both knew it was becoming something far more dangerous. Christmas Eve arrived. The city sparkled with light, but Daniel's heart felt heavy. He was late on rent, and Ethan's only present was a second-hand toy car. When Victoria called, inviting them to dinner at her place, Daniel hesitated. He didn't belong in her world, but Ethan's pleading eyes won him over. Her home stunned them both. A modern penthouse overlooking the Thames, filled with warmth and music. Victoria greeted them with a smile brighter than the Christmas lights. For the first time in years, her house didn't feel empty. She cooked with Ethan, flour on their cheeks, laughter echoing through marble walls. As the night ended, Ethan fell asleep on her sofa. Daniel covered him with a blanket, then turned to her. "You've done more for us than you know," he said quietly. "I just hope you're not doing this out of pity." Victoria looked at him, eyes shimmering. "Pity?" she whispered. "No, Daniel. Maybe I'm the one who needed saving." Days passed after Christmas, and their connection deepened. Victoria found excuses to visit Daniel's small garage, bringing tea, lunch, sometimes just her company. The mechanics teased him endlessly, calling her the mystery woman. Daniel smiled it off, but his heart raced whenever she appeared. One afternoon, Victoria quietly paid the rent for the garage to prevent its closure. She told herself it was business, not emotion. But when Daniel found out, after receiving the landlord's note, he stormed to her office, furious. "You had no right," he said, his voice shaking. "I told you I don't want help." She looked at him calmly, though her heart hurt. "And I told you it's not help, it's care. You deserve a break, Daniel. Don't you see? You're from another world. I fix engines, you own buildings, we don't fit." Victoria's voice softened. Maybe that's what makes it real. But he walked away, unable to face the feeling rising in his chest. Days turned into weeks without contact. Victoria threw herself back into work, but everything felt hollow again. Ethan asked about her constantly, leaving drawings at the cafe for Miss Victoria. Daniel avoided the subject, pretending he was fine. Then one morning he found Ethan sitting by the door, clutching a small gift box. "Dad, I want to give this to her. Please, she's my mummy for a day." Daniel sighed. He couldn't break his son's heart again. So that evening, they went to Lenox Tower, the place Daniel had just learned she ran. Standing in the marble lobby among executives and glass elevators, he felt painfully small, but when Victoria stepped out, her breath caught at the sight of them. Ethan ran forward and hugged her legs. "I missed you, Mummy." She knelt, eyes wet. "I missed you too, sweetheart." Daniel apologized quietly. "I overreacted. You were just trying to help." Victoria smiled through tears. "You were right, though. I crossed a line. I just didn't want to lose you both." They talked for hours that night. Daniel finally admitted his fear, of being not enough, of his son losing someone again. Victoria admitted hers, of loving and losing. When Ethan fell asleep between them, their hands brushed on the sofa, and neither pulled away. The silence said what words couldn't. Outside, snow began to fall again, soft and forgiving. In the new year, Daniel's garage began thriving thanks to new clients, quietly referred by someone with powerful connections. Victoria continued visiting, never mentioning the help, never making it about money. One day, she brought Ethan to her office, showing him how her company helped communities. "So you help people too?" he asked proudly. She smiled. "I try." Then he whispered, "Dad says people who help others are heroes." Her throat tightened. Maybe that's what she wanted to be. Not a CEO, but someone who mattered to someone. That night, she told Daniel, "You and Ethan, remind me what life feels like." His only reply was a soft, "And you remind us what hope looks like." Spring came, painting London in new colors. Daniel invited Victoria to Ethan's school play. She sat in the front row, eyes glistening as Ethan looked straight at her during his lines. After the show, he ran to her. "Did I do good, Mummy?" She froze, looking at Daniel, unsure whether to correct him. But Daniel only smiled faintly. "You did great, son." That night, she stayed for dinner. The three of them ate, laughed, and for the first time, it felt like family. But happiness, as always, was fragile. A journalist published a story about Victoria Lennox's secret life with a mechanic, painting her as reckless. The media swarmed, cameras outside the garage, headlines everywhere. Daniel felt exposed, humiliated. "You should go," he told her coldly. "Your world's not for people like us." She tried to explain, but he shut her out. For days, she called, texted, even visited, but he wouldn't open the door. Heartbroken, Victoria left for Paris to handle a business crisis. Alone in her hotel suite, she stared at the photo Ethan had drawn of them. She realized how empty her life was without them. She could have everything except peace. Meanwhile, Ethan grew quiet. "Dad," he whispered one night, "did I do something wrong? Did Mummy leave because of me?" Daniel's chest tightened. "No, son, she just needs time." But the truth was, so did he. Weeks later, Victoria returned. But instead of the confident CEO, she looked human, tired, real. She went straight to the garage. Daniel stood there, surprised. "Why are you here?" "Because I realized something," she said, voice trembling. "I don't care about headlines. I care about you, about him. You gave me a family when I thought I'd never have one." Daniel's silence stretched, then softened. "And you gave us hope." Ethan ran in then, seeing her, and leapt into her arms. She laughed through tears, holding him tight. From that day forward, they stopped pretending. Victoria didn't hide who she was, and Daniel didn't hide what he felt. They started small, movie nights, dinners, park walks. She'd bring Ethan to her meetings sometimes, introducing him proudly as "my favorite little man." Daniel, once ashamed of his struggle, began to rebuild with new purpose. He expanded the garage, started teaching apprentices. Their worlds didn't clash anymore. They blended. A year later, on Christmas Eve, they stood together in the same spot where it all began. The snow fell again, soft and silent. Daniel took Victoria's hand as Ethan beamed between them. "Mum," he whispered now without hesitation, "can we stay like this forever?" Victoria looked at Daniel, her eyes shining. "Yes, darling, forever sounds perfect." As the church bells rang midnight, Daniel kissed her softly. The city lights glimmered around them, and the story that began with one boy's wish ended as a family's miracle. Because sometimes love doesn't arrive with fireworks or fate. Sometimes it comes softly, like snow, when you least expect it, and stays forever.